Hello everyone, welcome back to the Reform Zoomer channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about what's next for Keir Starmer and the 5 possible scenarios that could come from this Labour leadership crisis that we're looking at. So obviously we know that Labour is in government, but I think the question at the moment is how stable is Keir Starmer's leadership at the top? Because this week we've seen resignations, lots of internal pressure inside of the cabinet and the government, and speculation about potential challenges, which have been confirmed this week, especially from Wes Streeting's resignation as Health Secretary, and now that he said that he's going to run, and now we've got Andy Burnham standing in this Makerfield by-election, which was artificially created. And maybe Angela Rayner as well. We'll have to see if she decides to run, because she hasn't formally said that she'll run yet. There is no official contest yet. A lot of MPs have said that they have, I think it's 92 now, maybe more, Labour MPs have said they have no confidence in Keir Starmer. But remember, there is over 400 Labour MPs, so this is only 25%. And I think you need 20% of the Parliamentary Labour Party, which people call the PLP, to back one candidate, so that would be about 80 Labour MPs for there to be a formal leadership challenge triggered, and that hasn't happened yet because they haven't managed to coalesce around one candidate. Maybe after Andy Burnham, if he does win the Makerfield by-election, which is on June the 18th, then potentially it could be him, it could be Wes Streeting, we'll have to see. So I think what we need to look at importantly is that there's 5 key scenarios in how this could play out. So the first scenario is that Starmer resigns, which is probably the least likely and the most simple outcome at the moment. So Starmer could probably decide that the pressure is too much and step down voluntarily. I think from what we've seen though, Starmer is quite hesitant to resign. He's quite stubborn, and to me, this is probably the least likely. I think he'll wait and hold on and cling on to power. Very similar to how Boris Johnson did in 2022. So it's sort of very similar situations in that sense. So a lot of MPs and people in the cabinet have pushed for a managed exit. So he sets out a timetable and leaves in an orderly way. However, Starmer has repeatedly signalled that he intends to stay and fight any challenges, making an immediate resignation unlikely unless the situation deteriorates further. The second scenario I've got is a leadership contest without Burnham standing. So let's imagine Andy Burnham, he's been approved by the NEC, but he's standing in the Makerfield by-election. Let's assume he doesn't win that by-election, probably Reform would win it in that case. So if he doesn't stand, for whatever reason, he can't get the numbers backing him, then we would probably have Wes Streeting as the main challenger, probably Angela Rayner in that case, because her chances would improve, and maybe someone rogue like Ed Miliband or potentially Shabana Mahmood. So the third scenario we've got is Burnham wins the by-election and challenges Starmer. This would be quite dramatic, as you can imagine. And when Starmer's polling has been put against all the other candidates, he will beat every single other candidate. He beats Streeting, he beats Rayner, he beats Ed Miliband. The one person he doesn't beat, though, is Andy Burnham. So this is the most potent and the most disruptive for the Labour Party, which I think is why a lot of people have been putting their support out for him. So if he wins the Makerfield by-election, becomes an MP, he would formally be able to challenge the leadership. He would have a lot of momentum behind him. And then he could argue that if Labour continues to struggle in the polls, Reform would be doing much better, and they're just going into the next general election as a lame duck Prime Minister and almost certainly lose. Andy Burnham is quite popular. I think a lot of people know him as the Mayor of Greater Manchester. He was an MP, he was in the cabinet before all of that, which I think people have forgotten about because it seems like a million years ago. It was in the last Labour government. I think I think under Tony Blair or Gordon Brown, I forget which one. So yeah, that's the most chaotic situation for Labour. The fourth scenario is Burnham wins and Starmer steps aside peacefully. It's a softer version of the last scenario. So if Burnham wins the by-election, this could be interpreted within the party as a signal that they need to reset, and rather than fight a damaging leadership contest, Starmer may choose to step down after a defeat in political because of the political momentum, and allows a transition towards a new leader. That could trigger either a coronation, basically, of Andy Burnham. We've never seen anything like this where uh, someone's touted to win the leadership and he just stands in a by-election. Someone stands down for him, he stands in the by-election and then becomes leader. That would be definitely a big change in what we're used to in politics, because that feels very presidential in a sense. Um, like the American system where you have anyone can run, you don't have to be an elected representative already, whereas in this country, normally how it's supposed to work is you're already an MP and you become the leader of your party, you lead them into a general election, and whichever party has the most seats wins. And the party with the most seats, the leader becomes the prime minister. It's not supposed to be anyone can just stand and become prime minister tomorrow. That's not how it works, really, in this country at the moment. However, this is really threatening to upend that entire system. And the fifth scenario is that Burnham loses and everything resets. So if he loses the by-election, um, especially against Reform, because they're the main challengers. If you look at the polls, when the polling data suggests, this is obviously without Burnham running, Reform would get about 50% of the vote. In the local elections, which happened a week and a half ago, a couple Thursdays ago, Makerfield, all of the wards within that were won by Reform. I think it was 14 wards, 15 wards, something like that. All of them went to Reform. So even with Burnham standing, yes, he's got massive personal approval ratings, but it's going to be very challenging for them. So I don't think polling data has been released yet, because we're still in the early stages. Not all the candidates have been confirmed yet. So once that happens, it'll be interesting to see what the margin is saying. And if it's very close, you could see a lot of people, a lot of effort being put into that by-election. Probably the biggest by-election we've ever had in the UK. So if Burnham lost, that would likely extend Starmer's position in Downing Street, as there are no real challengers left. Because like I said before, Starmer in polling tends to beat all of the other candidates in approval rating, in a head-to-head, if the Starmer would win most of those, basically. And shift attention back to other potential challengers like West Streeting, for example. In that case, the question of leadership wouldn't disappear entirely, but it gets pushed further down the road. And it's likely that this could coalesce again and something similar could happen again, because Starmer is the least popular prime minister we've ever had in this country. So it's hard to see him really holding on until the next general election, despite how stubborn he is. Anyone can see that. So at the moment, nothing is really settled. Starmer will probably remain prime minister for the next few months, most likely. We've got the by-election on June 18th, I think. So that's a month and a day away. And then for the actual leadership process, which I don't think will start now, or probably after that, that gives probably another month as well. So we're probably looking at, if Starmer's to go, around the autumn time, maybe August, September, around then. So it gives him a few more months, and potentially settles the question, because if there is the leadership contest going on, no one is going to ask about it. It's happening at the moment. And if he comes out of this, it will be an amazing political move for him, even though he is a terrible prime minister and he's done a very bad job. The way he's managed to hold on is incredible. So what happens at this by-election in terms of Labour numbers and whether a challenger can actually gain the support and unite enough MPs to force a contest is to be seen. But for now, Labour is very stable. Not very. They are somewhat more stable than they could be on paper. But in reality, they are seeming to be a shambles, really. So yeah, a bit of a disaster in the Labour Party. It's helping the other smaller parties like the Green Party and the Lib Dems and some of these small regional parties and whatnot. But no, it's very interesting stuff. We do live in interesting times, I suppose. So thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my next video. Thank you. Bye.